I'm curious because the federal government and state governments are getting in the business of bail bondsmen. So Eric runs this large bail bonds. It's called ExpertBail, ladies and gentlemen. And what do you go to ExpertBail.com?
Yeah, that's the website.
And they're doing something, Margaret. I wanted to get them on the air because what they're doing is very fascinating. We'll get into it in a minute about Facebook. They're doing something very fascinating in a marketing way. But, Margaret, how important or what was bail like for you when you were a prosecutor? Was bail part of your process?
Yeah, sometimes I'd handle the arraignments in the first session, and I would argue in favor of the judge setting high bail. So the judge would be in charge of setting bail, and then the criminals would go with their attorney and the family see if they could raise that bail.
I thought you were innocent to proven guilty.
Yeah, I just call them the criminals.
You're an ex-prosecutor. Eric.
Well, you know what I meant.
No, this is what concerns me. This is why
I know.
This is why Eric's on the line with us with ExpertBail. Hey, I wanted you to come on for a couple of reasons. One is state governments. Not every state has independent bail companies, correct? Yes or no on that?
No, there's 4 states that currently don't have commercial surety bail, which is what insurance-backed bail, which is what we do.
But why is the government getting in the bail business? Can you try to explain to us why?
Well, there's probably a couple different reasons, and it's the main reason, there's certain programs that are run through, pretrial service agencies, which were set up probably back in the 60s, I believe, to help the indigent. And these are people that had drug problems or substance abuse problems that if they were to be arrested, they didn't have anyone that would bail them out. There was maybe no family members, so the true indigents. And it was created to help them get out of jail and get into substance abuse problems and help them. And since then, these programs have gotten large amounts of funding from the government. And then they've kind of expanded where they're letting out people potentially who could afford a bail bond or aren't indigent, and they're getting out through these government programs, which are funded by our tax dollars. When you have the bail industry, which is private business that is been doing this for over 100 years with our companies, but ever since our forefathers came to this country, and it's been a very effective way to ensure people show up for court, which is ultimately, as you know, Ron, that's the purpose of a bail bond, is to ensure the appearance of a defendant in court so that they have their day in court.
I'm just wondering if the government gets involved in all these businesses. And I don't have enough time to get into today. I'm just wondering if there's an arm's length. I'm just wondering, Margaret, if the government should be getting into this business that's been privately owned and held for a couple of 100 years.
Well, I see a conflict of interest because the government, which was me at the time, we were think of the incentive I'd have to set a high bail or to argue in favor of a high bail for a certain criminal defendant. And think of the possible graft for a judge who is paid by the government as well to set a high bail. And then, of course, if the government is in the business of this bail, I think that's wrong. I don't think the government should be involved at all.
Yeah, I mean, the government programs are basically they're releasing them on their own recognizance.
If somebody gets arrested for, let's just call it driving under the influence, who goes to? Who sets the bail, Eric?
Of the 46 states that it's in, each one it's basically regulated differently, not only at the state level, but sometimes even within the counties. So some states you have bail schedules, which are predetermined rates where a panel of judges will sit down and they'll determine certain bail amounts for certain crimes, and California has a bail schedule. And then other states where, a person commits a crime or they're accused of a crime, they get booked in, background checks to make sure they're not wanted for anything else, and then either a judge or a magistrate will, look at the person's background, will look at the actual charges, read the police report, and then determine an amount of bail based on an appropriate amount to make sure that a person shows back up for court and ensure that, based on the risk that potentially they would be for flight. So the higher bail amounts will be for, the higher risk of flight. And then ultimately, if there's people that are just too big of a risk, they'll probably be denied bail.
Now,
and that's what we do in Massachusetts, by the way.
Before we get into your Facebook campaign, which is very interesting, how does this guy, Sandusky, that has been accused of being a pedophile, and now the people that he molested went before the grand jury, how come this guy is not in jail, Margaret and Eric? Can somebody explain to me how this all works?
Isn't he in jail now?
No.
Well, Pennsylvania is an interesting state because you've got different types of bail going on there. Where you have commercial surety bail, which in cities like Pittsburgh, I think, is the dominant kind, and then you have Philadelphia, which is Philadelphia has fallen apart in terms of their criminal justice system and their release function, and they use something called 10% deposit bail, and I think that's the kind of bond that Sandusky was out on. I think in both occasions where I think the first one he was actually released on his own recognizance.
Right.
And if he were to flee, then he'd have to pay the court the full amount of the bond. The second bond, he actually had to put up some cash, I believe. And once again, all that is if he doesn't show up for court, he'll have to pay the full amount, and if he does, he'll get his deposit back minus court costs and fees. But the Eighth Amendment protects people from being held without bail, and someone like a Sandusky they probably see as not as a flight risk because he is so. Where's he going to go now? Who doesn't know him? How is he going to?
No, but I don't care that he's not a flight risk. I care that he's out in the community. What's going to stop him or prevent him from molesting somebody else?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I personally, with my kids and family, I wouldn't want him out.
So you're saying he's a danger to the community, and that is one thing they do consider when the judges decide on bail. I would argue he's a huge danger to the community, and he should be denied bail.
Where's the common sense? All right, so tell us what ExpertBail is doing with Facebook. This is very interesting to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, and one of the things is, we created ExpertBail for the very reason that I think, bail is one of these misunderstood industries where, everyone thinks that, a bail agent looks like a guy in a biker gear running down the street with his guns drawn, and, and that, this is kind of what we do, is bounty hunting is the big thing. But, the reality is bail agents are very much active in their communities. They're very much, more than 50% of bail agents are women. We're not the characters that have been portrayed on television and in the movies. And one of the things that we do in alignment with building this brand and really changing that perception of bail is to make sure that we put those things front and center. So we're doing a promotion in conjunction with Toys for Tots. We've done this promotion on Facebook. So if you come to ExpertBail's Facebook page and you like ExpertBail, we're going to make a donation to Toys for Tots. And what we're also asking people to do, put down the city. So the people that like us in the comment box should put down the city that they want the donation to go to, and we're going to pick 10 cities around the country based on the votes, and those cities will each receive a donation from ExpertBail. So the idea here is to really, let people know that bail agents are active members of their community and really trying to make a difference.
That's a great idea. So you're going to help Toys for Tots. So we go to, how do we do it? Go slow. How do we do it? We go to Facebook.
So if you go to Facebook, you can just type in ExpertBail into the search box, and it'll take you to our page, and you just like our page from there. Or you can even go to expertbail.com, and one of the banners on our site, you click on that, and it takes you to the promotion page, and you can like it there as well.
All right, that's a great reason to have you on. I'll probably have you on just before Christmas again, and anything we can do to help Toys for Tots, ladies and gentlemen. Toys for Tots, go to ExpertBail on Facebook and do what?
And just like the site and then put down the city that you want to receive the donation. And we've had 2,000 people so far in the promotion go to the site. And ultimately the plan is, 2,500 toys, 2,500 likes, and, our donation, we're looking to hopefully give around $10,000. So.
What a great idea. Eric, thank you so much.